Hanut Singh Rathore, also referred as Hanut Singh, was a former Lt.General of Indian Army. He was decorated with the Mahavir Chakra for his role in the Battle of Basantar in 1971 war.Lt. Hanut Singh Rathore was born in Jaisal in Pachpadra, Barmer district, to Lt.Colonel Arjun Singh. He attended the Colonel Brown Cambridge School in Dehradun and the Joint Services Wing Academy. In Indo-Pakistani War of 1971, then Lieutenant Colonel Hanut Singh commanded the 47 Infantry Brigade. The brigade was deployed to establish a bridgehead across the river Basantar in the Shikar sector and to extend support to the infantry battalions. On 16 December 1971, the Lt.Colonel led his forces across the heavily mined river to successfully take position before advance by the infantry battalions. Pakistanis made repeated attacks to dislodge the Indians, but the Lt.Colonel moved from one threatened sector to the other and inspired his men to repulse the armor attack. His unit destroyed 48 Pakistani tanks in the battle and earned him the name Hero of Battle of Basantar. Childhood. IC 6126 Lt.Gen. Hanut Singh Rathore was born on 6 July 1933 to Lt.Colonel Arjun Singh, who famously commanded the Kakawar Horse. Hanut comes from Jaisal, a village in Pachpadra Tehsil, Barmer district. It was established by Rathore rulers who were descendants of the 13th century Rawal Malanith, a Rajput warrior and who was the eldest amongst all houses of Rathores in Rajasthan. The royal houses of Jodhpur, Bikaner, Ratlam, Sitama, Salana, Hyder and Alarajpur trace the lineage to Rathore Rajputs. Jaisal Rajputs have been historically fiercely independent, chivalrous, brave and proud. Schooling. Hanut studied in Colonel Brown's school at Dehradun and was brilliant at studies, reading up on Rajput history as a hobby. He joined the 1st Course Joint Services Wing, which later became the NDA. Introspected, he stood out for his Spartan outlook, mental grooming, discipline, intellect and character, unusual qualities in a cadet. He was a polo blue. In December 1952, he was commissioned into the Pune Horse, a distinguished cavalry regiment which had won 4 Victoria Crosses since its raising in July 1817. Hanut's father had also served in it on attachment. In a delightful, fascinating biography of Hanut in his book, Leadership in the Indian Army, Biographies of 12 Soldiers, Maj-Gen V.K. Singh Signals writes about how Hanut modeled himself after the German general staff, particularly the total dedication to the profession of arms, and their unmatched expertise in the art of war. He sought to emulate these qualities himself, and motivated other officers in the regiment to do the same. Quote, he adds that, as a result, qualities like professionalism, personal rectitude and total dedication to the regiment and the service became distinctive hallmarks of its officers. During his time, the Pune Horse, as Hanut himself writes in his wonderfully descriptive and elegant book on its history, developed a spirit over and above its professionalism and elan, which can be described in one word: camaraderie, a spirit of brotherhood, caring, feeling, and belief that soldiers seek above all. A die-hard bachelor by choice, Gurdev Hanut's commitment to soldiers and soldiering was total. Selected for a Centurion tank gunnery course in 1958 in the UK, he topped the course and, on return, rewrote the gunnery instruction manuals at the Armoured Corps Centre and School, Ahmednagar. It was our superior tank gunnery in 1965 and 1971 that helped turn the scales against Pakistan. A few years later, he was to write our tank war-fighting manuals for the Armoured Corps, the value being validated by the fact that these remain standard Army teaching till date. On staff during the 1965 Indo-Pak War, Hanut served as brigade major and later in military operations directorate before he was posted to teach tactics at Ahmednagar before assuming command of the Poona Horse. Battle of Basantar. The Indian forces fought some of its toughest battles in the Shikar sector against Pakistani forces during the 1971 war.Lt. Colonel Hanut Singh commanded the 47 Infantry Brigade, which was deployed to establish a bridgehead across the river Basantar, and extend support to the infantry battalions in the ensuing offensive operations. On the 16th of December, Lt. Colonel Singh led his forces across the heavily mined river to successfully take up positions ahead of the infantry advance. The Pakistani army retaliated almost immediately and made repeated attacks on the Indians, but the colonel displayed remarkable courage in this grave situation and moved from one threatened sector to the other, inspiring his men to remain steadfast. Not only was the enemy armor attack repulsed, but 48 of the tanks were destroyed. Lt. Colonel Singh was decorated with the Mahavir Chakra for his role in the Battle of Basantar. Lt. Arun Katrapal was awarded the Paramvir Chakra. Special mentions. Lt.General Surinder Singh mentions Hanut in book Behind the Story of the Poona Horse. Amongst this lot, the officer who was to have the most profound influence was Hanut Singh, who had joined the regiment in January 1953. A tall, lean and ascetic figure, uncompromising in his beliefs and convictions yet gentle and considerate to his juniors and subordinates, possessed with an exuberant sense of humor and a pungent, ready wit. He was an extremely dedicated and devoted professional. His forte was instruction, delivered in a modulated and compelling tone which carried conviction and understanding. A man of sterling character combined with a forceful personality. He had no time for fools, a fact which was soon apparent to those in this category. COAS. After General Sundarji, when General V.N. Sharma, who was also from the Armoured Corps, was appointed as COAS, Hanut was in all likelihood of being appointed as Army Commander but was sidelined. Having a faultless service record, there was no reason for Hanut not being considered suitable for command of a field army, though was not appointed. When Hanut was informed of his having been passed over by a junior who conveyed his sorrow, his reply was, "Why should you be sorry? It is the army which should be sorry. If they don't want me, the loss is theirs." It is believed that when the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi called him up during Operation Brass Tracks, Lt.Gen. Hanut was in meditation and asked the operator to convey the message. The Prime Minister then decided that although a hard taskmaster and best man for the job, religious bent of mind may not be suitable to become Chief of the Army, and hence later a junior officer was chosen instead. Later years. Hanut Singh never married and was inclined towards ascetic living. He was completely devoted to this way of life after retirement. He lived in an ashram in Dehradun and took samadhi on April 10. A day later his mortal remains were allowed to be visited by ashram devotees. He was cremated at Haridwar.